How fake are the elections in California, Steve? Because Xavier Baccaria, as Joe Biden called him, is not a real candidate. He doesn't have any support. Nobody's heard anything about this guy. Nobody knows anything about this guy. He's a complete and total failure. He's now at the very tip top of at least the poly market here for odds on. He's got a 92% odds on. So they've just had to select downward from Eric Swalwell. It's been a complete nightmare. Katie Porter has imploded, and RIP to her, her husband or whoever's living with her. Get away from the hot potatoes. It's like you can obviously see the rigging of the election happening in real time. I'm not trying to blackpill. I'm trying to just emphasize that this isn't real, right? Xavier Baccaria, he isn't real. This is not a real candidate. He doesn't have any support. I've seen my entire timeline this weekend, Steve, is empty campaign rallies, in West Hollywood for this guy, where he's showing up and there's 5 people there.
This is what happens when you get a corrupt machine running a state. And they've been in power now 16 years uninterrupted, in many ways much longer than that. And this guy, Becerra, exactly as you say, that's what Biden called him, Baccaria.
Yes.
When he was in his cabinet.
Yes.
He was so out of the race that do you remember there was that story a few months ago when one of the debates was cancelled, the one at USC, because all the LPDs, as I called them, the low polling Democrats, on 1 or 2%, all complained because, of course, it was racism that they were left out of the debate. And they made a fuss about it, and pathetically, USC caved and the debate was cancelled.
Yeah.
One of those LPDs was this guy. He was on about 2 or 3%.
Yes.
And then suddenly, with Swalwell, blowing up with his sex scandals, this guy just almost overnight moves to the top because the machine, the corrupt Democrat machine, decided he was their guy. He was the puppet that they needed, who would be obedient, who would do what the far left activists and the government unions who control the Democratic Party in California, he would just be their obedient servant, just deliver exactly what they wanted. So they said, right, he's our guy, and suddenly he rises to the top. I mean, the list of scandals and failures with this guy is just extraordinary. I mean, you've got the fact that when he was health secretary, he pushed migrant children out of shelters in order for the optics to look good. He didn't want to look like he was holding children in cages, like they said about Trump. And 85,000 by the account of the New York Times. The New York Times, or even more, actually, the total number could be as high as 250,000. These were young kids sent in often into sex trafficking. He pushed young kids, 5-year-olds was one of the accounts, into the hands of sex traffickers to try and make himself look good. That's one of them. Secondly, he's mired in a corruption scandal where his chief of staff, he wanted to bring with him to Washington. The salary wasn't high enough, so they cooked up a scheme to transfer money from his California campaign account to top up the salary of his chief of staff. You've got 2 federal indictments on that corruption case. He's pretending he didn't know anything about it. Even Katie Porter and the other Democrats were saying there's a very high chance that Becerra is indicted as part of that story. You've got the fact that in an interview the other week, he basically had a moment exactly like Kamala Harris's on The View, where he was asked by a CNN anchor, California's in a mess, highest poverty rate, highest unemployment rate, highest cost of living, things aren't going well. Is there anything that you would criticize, that you would have done differently in terms of the management of California these last few years? He said, not really. And anyway, it can't be that bad because lots of people are still going to Disneyland. That was his actual answer. And then you've got the fact that Biden officials, right, when he started rising in the polls almost overnight, a chat group was established with Biden cabinet senior officials in the Biden administration. The subject line was, is this a joke? They can't believe that this guy is leading the Democrat field and could be about to be in the general election. And you've got to ask, how useless do you have to be if the Biden cabinet thinks you're incompetent?
We have the photo here of the empty event. My team is railing at me in our group, in our chat. So here it is. This is in West Hollywood. This is in the single most liberal precinct in the world. And that's what according to reports, the organizers of this event were desperately texting each other to like see if they could get more people, like to drag homeless people out from the streets. They were trying to drag junkies from the streets, offer them like free booze or drugs to like come in and like fill chairs here. This is the guy they're saying. This is why I think it's fake. This is why I think everything in California is fake, Steve. Look at this.
Yeah, this is a get out the vote rally. That's after the start time. There were more press there than actual people. And you're right. And this guy, he's been a career politician in the California machine. There's another point. 36 years. Done nothing else. He's been appointed to most of the positions he's had. Appointed to Biden's cabinet, where even they thought he was useless. Appointed by Gavin Newsom to be state attorney general. And now he wants to be governor. It's just unbelievable. It's actually an insult.
It's an insult.
Californian.
Joe, if you don't mind, just like 2-second clip here. Here's Joe Biden. Everyone, a member of my team named Danny, who speaks Spanish, is saying, "You're mispronouncing his name." He's yelling at me. "You mispronounced his name." What I mean by that is that this is how Joe Biden pronounced his name. Here we go.
And I'm grateful to the members of my COVID team that I'd like to introduce to you now, who will lead the way. I'm really proud of this group. For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Baccaria. Javier Bashir.
It's enough. It's enough. Thank you. I don't even Javier Baccaria. Javier Baccaria. I hope you call him that in your next debate.
It's just ridiculous. I tell you, in the last debate, I said, you shouldn't be running for governor, Javier. You should be preparing your criminal defense. And he didn't like that. Look, I just think that.
Would you mind expanding on that? You believe that he could be indicted?
Yeah, not just me. I mean, Katie Porter made the point, and she's been in touch with the people involved in the case.
Wow.
And at the moment, there's two people who have been indicted. Becerra's former chief of staff and Gavin Newsom's chief of staff. They were involved in this scheme. I mean, to get into the details, so Becerra's chief of staff is a guy called Sean McCluskey, been with him for years. Becerra's appointed to Biden's cabinet, says to his guy, "I want you with me in DC. Come with me as my chief of staff to HHS." Fine. The money wasn't high enough. He has to pay his travel, whatever, wanted more money. So they took $10,000 a month out of Becerra's California campaign account and put it as a fake fee payment to a consulting firm run by Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff, someone called Dana Williamson. Then that money, $10,000 a month, was sent straight out the door to the wife of the chief of staff. That's what they cooked up. That's breaking California campaign finance law, because if it's in a campaign account, it can only be used for that purpose. And it's breaking federal law, because if you're a federal government employee, you can't have multiple sources of income that you don't declare. The two people at the heart of it have already been indicted. There's a federal trial going on. One of them just did a plea deal. The Dana Williamson, Gavin Newsom's chief of staff. The point that Katie Porter made is that we don't know what this person, Dana Williamson, at the heart of this scheme, has said to the feds about what Becerra knew. And by some accounts, including his own in various interviews, he either admits he knew about it, or there are reports from the people involved that Becerra not only knew about it, he suggested it. Tom Steyer has ads running, which now Becerra is doing a cease and desist letter for, saying that he absolutely knew. It's impossible to believe that he didn't know when it was all about him getting his guy to go with him to DC. That's illegal. He broke the law. And so they could be about to nominate someone who's going to be indicted within the next few months.
Incredible. I need the audience to understand our only shot is Steve Hilton.